Welcome back to the Average Fan Podcast. Good to see you again. I've got a list of things I want to talk about today, try and make it a bit easier to get through some of the topics, a bit more organised, hopefully. You might see the background's a bit, hopefully, smoother than the previous video. Still a work in progress, so bear with us. So today, yesterday we spoke about, obviously, Christian Eriksen. I know, obviously, Denmark aren't actually in the World Cup this year anyway, but it's still obviously shocking news. We spoke about the price hikes for the World Cup tickets and how it's sort of pricing the fans out of the game. And I mentioned at the end of the video, we'd talk about other price hikes. So obviously got the shirts in the background. I'm a avid collector of England shirts, Man United shirts, Forest shirts, and I've done that for years really. And it's been amazing collecting them because I pretty much own now every single England shirt there is. I pretty much own most of the United shirts, probably about 70% of the Forest shirts that exist. But I've sort of stopped really buying a lot of the new shirts just because they're so expensive. I tend to find any of the United or the Forest shirts in the sale where I can. And that's how I've been trying to top up the collection and make sure I've got all the shirts that are available. It doesn't help that now there's so many shirts that exist in a stadium version, an authentic version. You also have, most teams have at least 3 kits now as well in the Premier League. And with England, they have the same. So it's the stadium version, the authentic version, and they have the home and away. They also have the goalkeeper shirts. And the price now for just a standard shirt pretty much starts at, I think, £90 for an adult shirt. That's a stadium version. That's what any of these other shirts in the background used to be. They only had one type of shirt, whereas now they started selling the authentic shirt, which supposedly is the same type of shirt that the players wear. How accurate that is, I'm not too sure, because they definitely still seem to wear slight differences on their shirts than what they sell in the shops. So it's, I don't know, God knows. But £90 for a home or an away shirt for these England shirts just seems insane. So if you were to get both of them, that's nearly £200 you'd spent just on the shirt. I know most adults aren't buying the shorts and the socks that go with it as well, but still, that's a lot of money that you're investing in for the shirts. And England seem to be releasing them, or versions of them, every year rather than every couple of years for the tournaments. A difference I have seen, I'm sure there was one where they released a 2025 version which seemed different. I might be wrong on that, but it does seem frustrating that they seem to be pinching the fans in the pocket once again. And obviously for children, I've got 2 children, and last Euros, I thought I'll get my daughter, who I think at the time would have been 1.5, a shirt, and brand new, it was £50 for a child's England top, which within a matter of months she's going to grow out of again, which is ridiculous. So to spend that amount of money for a brand new shirt just seemed insane. Obviously, I didn't spend that amount of money. I think in the end I went to Sports Direct and they had some that were on sale for like £20-25. I don't even think I got the current shirt. I think I got the previous shirt for her instead. So it's no surprise that there seems to be an absolute influx of fake shirts onto the market, which I don't blame parents at all for considering buying these fake shirts. If you log on to Facebook or Instagram, your feed's no doubt inundated like mine is with all these fake shirts which are flooding the market, which as a collector is quite annoying because I've got, an absolute collection of shirts, as you can see in the background, and these are all genuine, authentic shirts. Since the introduction of all these fake shirts, it makes it an awful lot harder for someone like myself to buy genuine shirts. And I'm quite lucky that I've bought all of these years ago, before this was even a problem. I know for definite all my collection's genuine. But if you're a collector who's starting today, you're going to find that an awful lot harder, because I get, obviously, parents buying the brand new shirts, which they're trying to charge children. I think now it's £55 or £60 for a child's England shirt, which is ridiculous. So you could buy most of these shirts on the Facebook marketplace or whatever, like £20 per shirt. So you could buy both shirts for less than the cost of one shirt, which I get why parents do that. But then a lot of these companies are now making the older shirts as well. So it means trying to find all the older shirts, genuine, authentic, makes it an awful lot harder. But I can see why people are paying it, because who's paying that? Who can afford to do that? If you've got a couple of kids and you want to buy both the shirts, again, that's £200 almost you're spending just to kit them both out ready for the World Cup. When I was a kid, shirts were £25 or whatever it was, maybe even less. My parents could afford to get us the shirts, and at least that way, every 4 years when the World Cup comes back round again, you can wear the shirts, you can support your country, and you can really get into the spirit of the tournament. Whereas this time round, it's already tough enough for parents as it is, and for families to be making ends meet. But then to put that pressure on parents to be buying these shirts, the genuine shirts, and the trouble is they now have the two versions. They have the authentic version, which is a lot more expensive, and then they have the stadium version. But of course, kids being kids, which version do they want? They want the authentic version. They want the proper version, the one the players wear. But like I said, I'm not even convinced that is exactly the same as what the players wear anyway. I'm sure they have marginal differences which will make theirs specific to them and to a professional athlete, which you're being conned into paying all this extra money for this official shirt. Why does a child need a shirt that's way more expensive? Of course they're going to want it because it's available and all the friends have probably got it. I think it just becomes very commercial, unfortunately, and it is a shame. I'm a parent. There's no way in the future, if either of my daughters want to get into football and want to support their clubs or the national teams, there's no way I'm spending that amount of money, especially for a child who's going to outgrow these things rapidly. And then on the resale market down the line, there will be no resale market because all these aftermarket fakes have now flooded the market. So you're just paying through the nose I don't think for any good reason. And I think yet again, it's another way just to squeeze money out of the average fan. So this is the sort of thing which I don't think exists anymore. I'm so glad I got into collecting all these back when there wasn't such a problem with these fakes and non-genuine shirts. I get why they exist, and I fully support parents who spend the money on those type of shirts instead, particularly for children. The other thing is the stickers. So I did say I was going to start collecting the Panini stickers. I managed to get a free album. They're giving them out for free, which is great. But it's no surprise to give them out for free because I think now, when I looked, it's got over 900 stickers that you need to collect. And in a sticker pack, you get 7 stickers, which I think's what it used to be. But these now cost £1.25 per pack. So you're going to be spending, I think it was over £200, I think somebody said. If you had every single sticker you needed from the packs, it would be over £200 that you're spending to collect all of the stickers, which is crazy. And me and my brother, when we used to collect them, I'm pretty certain we used to have an album each. I don't think we collected them together. I think we had an album each. I might be wrong. But there's no way it would have cost my parents £200 to fill one album. And that's if you're getting every single sticker you need. Obviously, that's not going to happen. We used to go to school, and obviously all the other kids at school would collect them as well. So you'd have loads of swaps, and you'd be able to swap it with the other kids. So that was okay. You could still at least make up the difference of the ones you're missing through swapping with other children at school. Obviously, as an adult, I'm not going to have that option. I can't really swap with anyone really other than myself. So I'm going to be having to buy the packs. But one guy who I'd seen on YouTube had suggested that statistically, if you were to fill the album yourself just by buying packs, statistically, you'd be paying well over £1,000 to fill this album, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere close to filling this. It'll just be interesting to see some of the players, what sort of stickers I get. I just think it'd be quite fun to see. And also, hopefully, it'll help me to figure out who all these players are, because there'll be loads I've not got a clue who they are. This is what was great as a kid, is looking through the album and just seeing the names of all these players, look at who's been picked for the national teams. I know sometimes there'd be players who Panini would have, or who Merlin it might have been at the time, would have anticipated would have been in the album. And I'm sure there was one time when the players were missing from the album because they didn't actually get called up to the squad. So it'd be interesting to look through the album and see if there are any obvious missing players from the album. Because no doubt they've put this into print ages ago. So how sad would it be if you're one of the players who's playing for one of these national teams and your picture's missing from the album? That'd be crazy. So yeah, what I'll do is I probably won't open them on this podcast, but maybe tomorrow I'll have a flick through the album, maybe open 2 or 3 packs, and we'll just see who we get. So that'd be interesting to see. And the other thing I was going to talk about, let's have a look. The other thing I was going to talk about is the timings for the England game. We're quite lucky, unlike Scotland, who have got some pretty nasty timings for their games. I think we're quite lucky. Oh, actually, I've got it here in front of me. So we've got 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and a 10 o'clock, which is great. So England-Croatia is our first one on Wednesday, 17th of June. England versus Ghana, 23rd of June, 9 p.m. Both of those are 9 p.m. And Panama, England, Saturday, the 27th of June, 10 p.m. So although although the first two games are Wednesday and Tuesday, both of those are 9 p.m. So we're actually quite lucky with those, which is good. It means it's not going to impact work too much. And that third game's a Saturday. It's a 10 o'clock game, bit later, but at least it's on the weekend. And depending on where we finish in the group, I think the only one we've got that's potentially a bit of a nasty one is a Monday the 6th of July, 1 a.m. I think that's if we finish in, I think, third position, I think. And that'll be the round of 16. And then we've also got a 2 a.m. possible game, which is on a Sunday. And I think that's, again, if we finish in third position in the group. But those timings are great, I guess. At least we'll be able to get behind England. And it's not going to impact with work or sleep too much. I do feel for Scotland, because I know they've got a few early games. My dad's Turkish. No doubt he'll be watching a lot of the Turkey games. But I know they've got, I think, a 5 o'clock game and I think a 6 o'clock game for their opening group games. So that's not ideal for him. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. Really excited just to see the opening game. I think the friendly game it was a good effort, to be fair. I think that the group who played the first half, I think played really well. Rashford, it was amazing to see Rashford, ex-Man United player, doing so well. He's gone up to Barcelona now, or he has been there for last season. And by the looks of it, he's played really well. I think it's built his confidence back up. It was great to see him doing a few little tricks and spins and turns. And that's the player we used to have when we had him back in the day. And it's just nice to see him back playing confident again. The other player, it's a shame we've not got Morgan Gibbs-White. It was a shame to not see him. But we did have Jed Spence playing on the first half of the friendly game. And he looked unbelievable. And again, our ex-Forest player. It's a shame because when he went to Tottenham, I don't think he's had such a great time at Tottenham. Hasn't been playing, I don't think, full time or as many games as he probably would have hoped to. But it's nice to see that spark, the flair that he had when he was playing for Forest, running at players and making little turns and spins and just making a ball out of nothing. It's great to see he had that still when he was playing in the friendlies on Saturday. So really excited to see who he picks. I wonder if it'll be him, who's one of the players that plays in that first game, because I'd say the players that played in the second half didn't look quite as fluid, but they still looked great there. I think they looked very cohesive as a team. And I think that's what we need to see. We just need to see more team play. I think sometimes that we have such good players who are English players. Sometimes it's difficult to create a team without making it all around one player. And I just like it when you just see a coach or a manager who's just made a decision and said, these guys play like a team. And that's what he said in his press conference. They look like the best team that I could see during the warm-ups and during the practice sessions leading up to this. So I kind of feel like he's got to be the best person to make that decision. I know a lot of people have said, he's a German manager. Is that a conflict of interest? I don't think so. He's a professional manager. He's an absolute winner. He's won things with club teams before. And you've just got to trust him, really. And I think it's a brave move to leave out some of the players he has. But I have full trust in him. I feel like what we witnessed on the Saturday, the friendly, I know a lot of people have said, we should have beaten them. They're a low-ranking team. It doesn't matter. It's a friendly at the end of the day. And you saw the condition of the pitch. It was terrible, absolutely awful. It looked so amateur. But the passing was great. I think you've got to take on board. They were playing in Florida, which the heat out there is insane. They're still acclimatizing to those sorts of conditions. You didn't want to play them for obviously a full both halves, playing for just one half and then another load playing for the second half. Really smart move. It's just getting the players used to the conditions of the pitches, because if this is what it's going to be like for the rest of the tournament, and this is going to be shocking, it'll be a right shock of a tournament for pitch conditions, really. But I think it was a smart move by the manager. I think the players that we saw who was taken, I think have all proved so far in the friendly to look, I think to look, tip-top condition. It'd just be interesting to see how they perform on that first game against Croatia. Obviously, they're a good team, and I'm just excited for it, really. Only two, when this video goes out, there'll be 2 days left to go. The opening match is South Africa versus Mexico. And we'll talk about the opening show and the halftime shows which are planned for that, because I think some of it's a bit ridiculous, a bit Americanized. I get why they do it, but I wonder if it's going to take away from what should be the primary focus, which is the football. But we'll see. So again, it's a short one today. Not going to keep it too long. I think ideally we're going to keep these for about no more than about 25 minutes. Even when I've got other people on the podcast as well. If there's anyone watching, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your predictions. I'm going to get to predictions probably tomorrow when I've had a chance to really sit and think about who I want to win the World Cup, or who I think is most likely to win the World Cup. My brother's put forward his predictions. The categories are winner, biggest flop, golden boot, golden ball, which I think he means most assists, and the best underdog. I'm not too sure how we're going to measure that one, so I'll have to ask him. But his predictions so far are winner, Portugal, biggest flop is Netherlands, and golden boot, Havertz, golden ball, Bruno Fernandes, and the best underdog, Norway. So I'm going to have a proper think on them tonight. I'll let you guys know what my predictions are. If you guys have any, if anyone is watching, put yours down in the comments below. It'd be interesting to see what you guys think. They're the categories. So winner, biggest flop, golden boot, golden ball, and best underdog. Thanks again for watching. We'll no doubt see you. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again on the next podcast tomorrow.